Welcome back to another episode of FatmanStephens podcast. Of course, my name is Marcus FatmanStephens, and welcome back to another episode. As I said, I just want to first thank everybody who tuned in for the Mountain Dew tier list last week or the last episode. I got a lot of positive reactions from a lot of people, personal people that I talked to, and that made me think of what other tier lists to do in the future. And I've come to the conclusion that the next tier list should be candy bar censored. So we're talking candy bars, chocolate bars, whatever you want to call them. But it should be centered on those. So I'm looking for everybody's favorite candy bar, chocolate bars. I've already gotten a few. And also right now, first thing we're going to do before we talk about wrestling, because I want to talk about Forbidden Door, which was this past weekend. I want to talk about John Cena celebrating 20 years in professional wrestling, at least in WWE. And of course, I want to talk about Money in the Bank, which is coming up this Saturday. And then maybe talk about a few other things. The Thing, which is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Probably my favorite, now I'm thinking about it. Just the concept of it. Celebrated 40 years this past Saturday, so I want to talk about that as well. But first, a good friend of mine gave me a Kit Kat. It's a different Kit Kat. It's Summer Mango. A Summer Mango Kit Kat. If you remember from the episode last week, I don't like mango, so I'm very scared to even attempt to try this, but we're going to do this on camera because I told her I would. The smell, as soon as you open it, is amazing. It's really, amazing, like overpowering, not amazing like it's just going to be good. I'm a little scared. This is what it looks like. Sorry for those who are on audio. Does it break like a regular Kit Kat? Who cares? Okay, it's not breaking like a regular. I'm gonna bite it like a savage. I mean, not gonna lie, it's not bad. It doesn't taste as overpowering, the mango. It doesn't taste as overpowering as the Mountain Dew. Very sugary. It's actually not bad. It's actually not bad. I actually like that. Summer Mango. Okay. That's not bad. She was recommending me to do just Kit Kat flavors because there's so many Kit Kat flavors, international flavors, and things like that. And I think I'll just do candy bars in general, but add international Kit Kat because that was actually much better than I thought it would be. It was actually pretty good. If I had to give that like a ranking on a list, that's an A. Even though it was mango flavored, it was still very good. It was, like I said, it wasn't overpowering. It was just enough sweetness, but it was also enough chocolate to know it still was a Kit Kat. But pretty good. I'm still in my mouth. I'm like trying to get it out, but it was actually pretty good. Shout out. So that's an A list right there. Okay, let's talk about wrestling. Forbidden Door. So I'm sorry, candy bar tier list coming soon from the podcast. Hopefully in July. I have to buy the candy bars. But people, give me your favorite candy bars. I already got people talking about Snickers and Milky Ways and Three Musketeers and Twix. I like Butterfingers a lot, so Butterfingers going to be on there. Mounds, Almond Joys. Obviously, we're going to do Kit Kats. So give me your favorites. Hershey Cookies and Cream. We're going to try them all on a podcast in the future. Hopefully July or August. But it's coming very, very soon to the podcast. All right, next up, Forbidden Door, AEW New Japan Professional Wrestling, Pro Wrestling presenting Forbidden Door this Sunday at the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. Darn you, Chicago, for getting everything. It was also kind of announced, but not really, that All Out will be on Sunday, September 4th, which then means that both that whole weekend is going to be wrestling filled because that Saturday is Clash of the Castle, and then the Sunday will be All Out. Unfortunately, not on the same day. That would have been wrestling overload for me, and I want it, and I was welcoming it. But different days is good, so I'm just still definitely very excited for that. Um, so Forbidden Door, the cursed pay per view. Actually, this whole month of June has just been cursed for professional wrestlers. CM Punk and Bryan Danielson and Cody Rhodes, Vince McMahon, Tomohiro Ishii, Hiromu. Everybody just going out of injuries, and this show having been so reconstructed and reconfigured to what it was. Of course, the original main event was the AEW World Championship on the line. CM Punk defending against Hiroshi Tanahashi, which was definitely supposed to be the main event. But just didn't happen, obviously due to CM Punk having a foot injury. But we still got Tanahashi versus Jon Moxley in its wake, which was a match that made more sense in the long term of AEW, the long term of New Japan, a long term in general for those two wrestlers, because they've been feuding. They've been trying to have this match before the pandemic hit, and just was never able to because COVID happened, 2020 happened, and this is the first time they were able to wrestle. So I'm glad that finally happened. Not going to run through the whole card. I will just say, I mean, it's AEW pay-per-view. They haven't really had a bad pay-per-view. I know there's some events that may have been lacking. Some of the pandemic pay-per-views may have not been the best. But now with such a stacked roster, like every pay-per-view has been, since like 2021, since like All Out 2021, every pay-per-view has been stacked and amazing. Actually, since they got back to some type of crowds, they've all been really, really, really good. Forbidden Door was another one. Just some highlights. Of course, FTR versus Rapagni Vice and versus United Empire. Great tag team match. You knew it was going to be. You had three teams that are actually involved in tag team wrestling. FTR getting their 7th different tag team championship in their history. Of course, the NXT, the Raw, the SmackDown, the AAA, the Ring of Honor, what else? AEW, and now IWGP heavyweight tag team titles. They are now 3 belts holders. It was a fantastic match. They got the win by pinning Rocky Romero with the big rig. Match went. I think I said the match went 19 minutes. 19? No, 16:25. This is about expected. Really good stuff. This is all leading up, in my personal opinion, to FTR Young Bucks 2, or actually FTR Young Bucks 3 at All Out for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Or it's the last match in their feud, right? It will be the last match in their feud. Well, not the last match. It will be the tiebreaker. Young Bucks won at Full Gear 2020. That was in 2020. Holy crap. Or no, that was when FTR won. FTR is 2-0 against the Bucks? Huh. The Bucks haven't beat them? No. I'm right. At Full Gear, Bucks beat them for the AEW Tag Team Championships. I'm like, didn't they beat them for the titles? No. And then FTR defended the AAA titles against them at Impact. It was like a show earlier this year. So you gotta have the tiebreaker in Chicago. Actually, just do all the titles on the line. Make it as big as possible. And I think that would be FTR is already a well-known tag team. They're already here. But like, if they can beat the Bucks in Chicago, let them have 30 minutes. I think that would be a hell of a match, a fun time for all professional wrestling fans. I think the goal is for FTR to have as many tag team titles as possible. So getting the AEW titles one more time would be fantastic. Good job on them. Really, really proud of both guys. The All Atlantic Championship was on the line. This is the first title. This is the inaugural match for the championship. Of course, Tomohiro Ishii was supposed to be in the place of Clark Connors, but Clark Connors got the shot, and he really performed in this match. The crowd was actually behind him too. Obviously, the underdog. Obviously, of all 4 men involved, he was the least likely to win. But the crowd got on his side. Putting Miro through the table with the spear was very nice as well. But in the end, there was only one guy I really wanted to see that win this, and it was Pac, because Pac's been in AEW since the start. No championships reigns. He's like flirted with all the titles, I believe, except for the TNT title. But he's like had the world title match. He fought Omega and Cassidy at Double or Nothing 2021. You know, he's been in tag team title matches with Penta and with Ray Phoenix, but he hadn't had a singles title just yet, any gold, and he got his first championship gold. I don't know how the rankings are for the championships as far as now we have. As for the men division, you have three singles titles. You have the AEW World Championship, you have the TNT Championship, and now you have the All Atlantic Championship. Of course, you still have the tag team title, so that's four titles. And the women have the women's championship, and you have the TBS championship. So six titles in AEW is good. The title I'm still waiting for is the trios titles because you have so many great factions, so many great trios that title could be the most popular championship in the company if booked right. But regardless, I'm really happy that Pac was able to get the victory there. Will Osprey defended the IWGP United States Championship against Orange Cassidy in a match I thought, like, in terms of who what Osprey is and his talent, I really was hoping for I don't want to say a bigger star, but somebody who I just wanted another match. I don't know who else could have faced. You know, maybe it would have been Cole or Page, but it didn't make sense for the story. But we got Osprey versus Orange Cassidy. Fantastic match. Orange did a great job. He even though his gimmick is of a lazy guy, he can go in the ring when the time comes, and he went with Osprey. Really held Osprey. Really held with Osprey. It was good to see Stormbreaker in AEW. That's the first time that he pulled that move out in AEW in his like month he was been here. It was awesome to see that move. It's such a great move, and Orange Cassidy is the perfect guy to hit because he's a smaller guy. But obviously, Osprey gets the victory. In breaking news, Shibata came out to have a stare down. So I don't know if they're building up to Shibata versus Will Ospreay, but if they are, I want to see that match. Like, just give me that into my veins. Great match. The surprise, well, not really surprised. Everybody kind of knew it was coming, but Zack Sabre Jr. and Bryan Danielson was one of the marquee matches for the show. Bryan Danielson is injured. We don't know what the injury is. Some people are saying he was concussed in the Anarchy in the Arena match, but he could not wrestle, so he said, well, I can't wrestle here or at Blood and Guts, which is tomorrow. I'm going to have a replacement. And of course, somebody who you have to think like a wrestling fan, who has been close to Bryan Danielson and to William Regal. You know, who was his hard hitting, who could take on Zack Sabre Jr. and actually hang in the ring with them. And of course, the only person I can think of was Cesaro, or now is under his real name, Claudio Castagnoli. And that's what we got. It came out, thunderous roar to the crowd, and him and Zack Sabre Jr. I think they had the best singles match of the night. I don't know if honestly, I don't know. No, this probably was the match of the night. It was just exciting. It was hard hitting. You know, Zack Sabre Jr., though he's a technical wrestler, he can put on a lot of, like, even his technical wrestling isn't boring. It's very exciting to see him, like, flip people into all various positions and everything. And I think he's one of my favorites. Great matchup. I love seeing the power bomb that Claudio hit on Sabre Jr. I recall a bomb, I think he called it something like that. That was amazing. Flatten him out, and I'm very excited to see Claudio in AEW. Another star. We just keep getting more people. I know AEW is kind of becoming stacked. It's a very stacked roster. So stacked that not everybody can get a shot. But it also helps because there's so many injuries right now that you need. That I'm glad they have people to fall back on. You know, Jungle Boy is hurt. I'm putting quotation marks because I think it's for the story, and I think Jungle Boy versus Christian Cage is going to be a marquee matchup at All Out. Punk's out. Danielson's out. They just said Dax Harwood has a separated shoulder. Alley's out. Who else is hurt? There's so many people right now that's just hurt. And so I'm glad they have enough roster members to sustain it. The match I was looking forward to the most was the Fatal 4-Way for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, which is now new champion Switchblade Jay White was defending against Hangman Adam Page, Adam Cole, Bebe, and the Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada himself. Okada got an amazing pop. I really hope we see Okada at like All Out. somewhere else in AEW, not just for Forbidden Door pay-per-views. Like, I really feel like his presence in America in AEW would be, oh man, people want to see it. And we didn't get to see a Rainmaker in this matchup, which was disappointing. But apparently, Cole got injured. It looked like Cole got injured, which led to an abrupt ending with Jay White pinning him. I think Cole was always going to be the one to eat the pin in this matchup. He got pinned, and the match was over. I think it was a great match. Just had a flat finish because of that. I hope Cole's okay. There's a rumor saying he is concussed as well. It's just another injury. Oh, Kyle O'Reilly is injured as well. Just another injury out for AEW is kind of hurting them. But again, you have so many other people to fall back on. Great match. I really enjoyed it. I really like Jay White. Obviously, Jay White's one of my favorite guys right now. I'm really a big fan of, obviously, I'm a fan of all four guys in this match, and it helps with Paige's story of his redemption story. I don't know what the plan is for the world title in the future. Obviously, Paige and Punk has to happen again. I thought it was going to happen at All Out. Everybody, of course, everybody thought Punk was going to turn heel and leading up to it, but it just never happened. So, because Punk got injured. So we'll see what happens with Paige in the future. Main event, Moxie versus Tanahashi. I was really pulling for a Tanahashi victory just because it would have been different. It would have been a New Japan guy having the AEW championship. He could have kept it away from television for a little bit, and then have Punk become the savior for AEW again when he beats Tanahashi at All Out. But they went with the safe route. They went with the route because they probably still don't know when Punk's coming back, but they went with the route of Moxley becoming the interim champion. So now he's holding the title, and he's holding the title now until Punk comes back, and then of course they will wrestle, which will be the first time they wrestled in AEW, which of course could lead to Punk and Bryan Danielson in the future. So I'm all for that. We got Blood and Guts coming up on Wednesday. I think Forbidden Door as a whole was a great pay-per-view. I give it a 9 out of 10. The thing about this, though, a lot of people said the injuries, hurt the show, or some appearances hurt the show, but I'm also looking at the future. Forbidden Door 2, another pay-per-view with Japan, in Japan. There's so many guys that weren't used. Again, CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, just from AEW alone. Andrade, Pentagon, Phoenix. I think about in New Japan guys like the Girls of Destiny, not in the show. Obviously Tetsuo Naito, Rush, Ishii. Some of these guys weren't used, and that leads me to there's still so many dream matches left between AEW and New Japan. So I think because they just gave us a little taste. It's just a little treat, and I'm really excited to see what's going to come after this. So really great pay-per-view. Looking forward to the future if they do a second one, which I'm sorry, they probably will. Tony Khan's been talking about it. Did so much. Did $1 million at the gate, $5 million on pay-per-view. So it's definitely gonna be a second one. I just want them to go to. It's gonna be tough, but they need to go over to Japan and find out a way to do it logistically for them. Maybe do it like an afternoon show or something like that, so it's a little earlier for Americans or somebody in the UK. It's gonna be tough, but they need to do a New Japan show. I hope AEW has a big representation at Wrestle Kingdom next year. All right, next up, John Cena celebrating 20 years. It was a day ago, June 27th. A day and 20 years ago, June 27th, 2002, when John Cena made his SmackDown WWE debut when he fought Kurt Angle. The whole ruthless aggression and the smack, and the rest is history. 16 world championships, 2 Royal Rumbles, a Money in the Bank, multiple WrestleMania main events, first ballot Hall of Famer. Obviously professional wrestling is subjective and it's scripted, so talking about who the greatest of all time is always going to be a conversation, and people are going to be, have their opinions. For me, John Cena is the greatest of all time in terms of dominance, in terms of doing things for the company, in terms of just staying power. I mean, my man was on top for nearly a decade. Like, top John Cena was from like 2005 to like 15, 16. He became like Big Match John, like, from like 16 and on. But like a 10-year reign. Like, everybody talks about Austin. Austin wasn't at the top of the company for that long. A few years. He was WWF champion in 98. He was basically done by 2002. Same thing with The Rock. had a good run, but there was nobody with staying power like John Cena. And a guy who's so respected. I don't have a John Cena shirt. I have the Seth Rollins fake kind of parody shirt. Never shuts up when they feuded in 2015, which was nice. They referenced Rollins and Cena on the show last night, as well as referenced Cena in Theory last night as well, which may or may not be on the SummerSlam card. Let's see what you got, Peacemaker. Um, I just really, John Cena has been one of those guys who I've hated. I was gonna say, do I hated him? Yeah, hate it because he beat a lot of my favorites growing up. I remember being very upset when he made Triple H tap out at WrestleMania 22 because I just knew Triple H was gonna win that match, but he made him tap out. I remember when he beat Shawn Michaels at 23. I just remember that year-long reign where he beat everybody every pay-per-view. I remember being very, very relieved when he got injured because I was like, all right, this is what happened. Finally, Randy Orton can kind of come up and do his thing. And I remember being super shocked. I think one of the greatest WWE returns of all time is John Cena, the Royal Rumble 2008, because there were no rumors about it. There was no speculation. Like I remember the time, everybody was talking about other people, but there was nobody who said John Cena was going to enter that Royal Rumble. And then you get to number 30, and that slight delay, and then you hear the time has now come on. Never forget the emotions in me that night. I'll never ever forget that day, because I really thought that was Triple H's Rumble to win. I really thought everybody said he was the favorite. We all said it, and then here comes John Cena saying, it's my time. It's still now. John Cena putting over all like the indie talent in his later career. CM Punk in 2011, Brian Danielson in like 2013, Kevin Owens in 2015, AJ Styles in 2016, putting on major matches with Cesaro, Claudio for the U.S. title. All the open challenges he did. A lot of people are going to talk about Cena's start, his dominance. Like I didn't even talk about the Dr. Thugonomics era, which I think was fantastic as well. A lot of people are going to talk about Cena during 05 to 12, where he was unstoppable. Always winning championships, always being around in the main event picture, beating everybody just because the whole Cena wins thing. But I also think about all the people he put over as well. I'm not even gonna talk about the Nexus thing. The Nexus, it was a bad decision, and I think that's probably one of the worst booking decisions in Cena's career. I get why he wanted to win it, but I really think Barrett and his group should have won that night. Whatever. But Cena has made up for it by losing. How many SummerSlams in a row did he lose after that? 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15. He lost 5 in a row until he ran into Corbin in 16. Or no, I'm sorry. 16 he lost 2 until he ran into Corbin in 2017. So he lost all those SummerSlams in a row after that. Not saying he was making up for it, but part of me likes to believe that maybe that was the reason. Because he knew he made a bad decision in not putting Nexus over. But also just putting over, again, all of those open challenges he had with Neville, he had with Zack Ryder, he had with Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Rusev, everybody, all these great talents. Yeah, he beat them all. But I just really respect John Cena now in my older age, actually seeing him grow as a professional wrestler. I was 11 when he debuted, so I'm 31 now. Yeah, I was 11 when he debuted. Ruthless Aggression smacked the Angle, and the rest is history. I'll never forget that night. I watched that live. Well, it was pre-tape, but I watched it when it came on UPN in 2002. But man, what a year! We celebrated Brock Lesnar's 20 years in March, Randy Orton's 20 years in April, Batista's 20 years in May, and now Cena in June. The class of 2002, there's no bigger class in professional wrestling than those 4 guys coming up at one time. If you see what they have done past the 20 years, 3 to 4 guys, they've all won Royal Rumbles. They've all won multiple Royal Rumbles. They're all 2-time winners. Orton, what was it, 09 and then 2017. Batista, 05 and 8 and 14. Lesnar in 2003 and 2022. This year, right? 22. And Cena in 08 and in 2013. All two-time winners. 3 of them are Money in the Bank winners. They're all WrestleMania main eventers. WrestleMania main event, I'm going to say winners. Yeah, winners. They've all won in the main event at WrestleMania. Orton has not won in the main event? Oh, he hasn't. Orton has been a main eventer. They've all main evented. They've all main evented WrestleMania. They've all been in multiple pay-per-view matches, main events. They are superstars. They are larger than life. They are the 4 biggest stars post Austin Rock, like post Attitude Era, hands down. Nobody else comes close to them in terms of power. Yeah, you may have had more popular indie stars, but those 4 guys were the standard bearers. They were the guys you beat to get over. So kudos to John Cena. Didn't really allude to anything. Didn't really set up a SummerSlam match or anything. SummerSlam's still a month away. I know Theory has been really pushing for it, but they haven't said anything. It was just a really emotional promo thanking the fans for 20 years, and we thank you right back, John Cena. But nothing was set up, so I don't know if that was just a ratings thing you wanted to do, or they wanted to set up a feud. They can still wait till Money in the Bank. They can still wait till the Sunday after. The Monday after WrestleMania, after Money in the Bank, to set something up. But if I'm WWE and I've lost Orton, Cody, I would want Cena on one or both of these big stadium shows we got coming up, in either Clash of the Castle or SummerSlam. I think SummerSlam is probably better logistically because it's in the U.S. So Theory is right there and ready and available to wrestle. I would like Theory to do open challenges starting on Monday after he beats Lashley, and eventually have Cena answer at SummerSlam. I guess as a surprise, but we know it's going to happen. That's what I would do. But thanks, John Cena, for the 20 years so far. Again, I booed him. I cheered him. I never forget. The one time I really wanted John Cena to win was against The Rock at WrestleMania 28, and he lost. And he made me look like a fool. And I was so upset. I'm still upset that he lost that match. He shouldn't have lost. But, I'm just glad Cena's around. And he made WWE better. And his loss of him not being a WWE right now is felt because they still don't have that type of leader. You can talk about Roman all you want. I think Roman's a great talent, but he's not there as much. And I think WWE has really faltered this year in terms of the world title picture, because I'm all understanding the main event WrestleMania this year. Winner takes all, biggest WrestleMania main event of all time. Blah blah blah. A dual champion. But give the title. There's 2 titles, and you have all these stars. You need to have one title on each brand. Like, it just makes sense. Chino is trying to get into here. He's just crying outside my door. Good Lord. All right, so that's it for that. John Cena, thank you so much for everything you do. Money in the Bank is on Sunday. Money in the Bank has another, just because the wrestling is cursed this month, a show that went from really, I really wanted to see, and it went down a little bit. I still want to watch it because I'm a wrestling fan and it's Money in the Bank. It's an exciting pay-per-view, but it's not as big as I wanted it to be. The biggest match of this show for me, hands down, was Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley. Like 100%, the biggest match on this card, and Rhea is hurt currently, so I think she had either a teeth or a brain injury. I saw the clip, so she was in the match, and she did I think she got hurricanrana, and her foot hit the rope, and it hit it so hard that her knee bashed into her head. So maybe causing a concussion or something. I'm not sure, but that's why Rhea is currently out. Right now there's only 6 matches on the card, and we still have 1 spot left in the men's Money in the Bank. There's no title match here because Reigns and Lesnar are wrestling at SummerSlam. So sorry if you want to see your champion on a pay-per-view, because it's not just going to happen. He hasn't defended a championship on pay-per-view yet. He defended against Riddle, which is a good match. But where is the world champion on a pay-per-view? That's the problem. So both women's title matches are kind of I think they're placeholders in my opinion. Ronda and Natalya. Ronda's going to beat Natalya. Now Bianca versus Carmella. Carmella doesn't stand a chance. I'm not believing either one of these challengers. They're just holdovers until the summer matches, whether that be Ronda and Charlotte again, or Bianca and Becky again. Those are probably the SummerSlam matches, unless something happens in the women's Money in the Bank. Now, the women's Money in the Bank is very interesting this year. It's filled with established stars and newcomers. We got Alexa Bliss, former winner. You got somebody established like Asuka. You have Becky Lynch is now in the match. But you also have young stars like Shotzi. You have Lacey. You got Liv, and you got Raquel. This is what I think is going to happen. Now that Becky is in this match, she has to win now, right? She has to be Becky Lynch has to be the odds-on favorite to win. Why? So she can go cash in on Ronda. You know, I think there was a stat that said none of the women besides Carmella has held the Money in the Bank for longer than a day. I think that may be the case, right? Carmella held it for the longest. Bayley cashed in the same night. Alexa cashed in the same night. Who else has won it? And Asuka won the championship from it, right? I bet there's somebody else who won the Money in the Bank. Hold on. But yeah, so I think Becky is the odds-on favorite to win it now. She has to be. She has to be the odds-on favorite. Where are the history? Oh, Nikki ASH. So she won it the next night. How did I forget about Nikki? Well, because they forgot about her. So yeah, I feel like they. I mean, is that what they're going to be doing? Is there not going to be any woman who has the Money in the Bank longer than a day besides Carmella? You know, I'm all for the shock value of it, but I'm also for someone like Becky who has Money in the Bank. But it would make sense for the Becky character to win it and then instantly cash in on a championship because she's Becky Lynch and she's been in a drought for so long. Look, I'm all for Becky and Ronda. I know they probably wanted to wait for Becky and Ronda at WrestleMania. But if Becky wins and cashes in on Ronda the same on this Money in the Bank night or in the future and sets up a SummerSlam match, I'm all for that. Give me Becky as champion on SmackDown. I'm also obviously I'm rooting for underdogs. I'm rooting for Liv Morgan. I really think she could benefit from a Money in the Bank and hold on to it for a little bit, kind of build her up. Raquel Rodriguez is one of the people I like as well. I don't think she needs the Money in the Bank to win. She can really have like a really natural thing like Rhea and Bianca, her friends who are strong like her, have the look, have a great size. She can come out like them. Doesn't really need the Money in the Bank to advance her career. So I don't think she's gonna win it. Lacey Evans is probably another favorite. Obviously, Asuka's in it. I don't think they're gonna have a 2-time winner. So Asuka and Alexa are not my choices. I'm going either Becky or Liv, but Becky is obviously my number one pick. As far as the men matches, you got you have a tag title match and you have a U.S. title match. Which I'm sorry, why is Theory not in the Money in the Bank match? He would have been my pick hands down if he was in the match, but he's defending against Bobby Lashley, so I guess he'll beat Lashley for the title. And then the Usos are facing the Street Profits, with the Street Profits the determining the stipulation. Haven't said it yet. I'm going with the 2 out of 3 falls stipulation because I think that's, well, first of all, it doesn't make any sense to be 2 out of 3 falls, but I don't know any other tag team stipulation you can put on there. But 2 out of 3 falls between the Usos and the Street Profits with a 6-minute pay-per-view, give them like 20-25 minutes. I think that would be fun. Men's Money in the Bank is stacked. You got all these former world champions, former winners of the Money in the Bank, main eventers of WrestleMania. You got Seth freaking Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, Omos, Sami Zayn, Riddle, and one more to be announced. Kevin Owens versus Elias was supposed to happen on Raw this past week. Didn't happen for whatever reason, so I don't know how they're going to determine the last person, unless Kevin Owens and Ezekiel's going to happen on SmackDown. They haven't really announced what's going to happen with the 6th spot just yet. I mean, you could always do it as a prize entrant, I guess. That's a thing to do to kind of dredge up, some views. Oh, yeah, that could definitely be something they could do if Cody comes out. But he's not ready. We already know that. It's not going to happen. Obviously, the favorite for this match is Seth Rollins, right? Seth and Becky are both the favorites. They're on the poster, but it also makes sense because you got Brock Lesnar and Roman coming up and you have Seth with a Money in the Bank contract, and there's a chance that he could pull off the heist of the century again, and this time really save WWE from this constant battling between these two for the championships. With Roman and McIntyre probably be the main event in Clash of the Castle because it makes sense. I don't think Seth's gonna. He's my favorite, but I don't think he's gonna win. I'm gonna say Riddle. I think Riddle, now that he's in the match, is pretty strong favorite, and as well as Drew. I actually don't know. I don't know who's gonna win this match. Almost, why are you here? I hate you. I hate your side. I hate that you're so big and awkward. Remember in the Great Khali. Like I get it. Like don't get me wrong. I'm not hating. I'm just like, come on, dude. I'm gonna go with Riddle. I think Riddle, in terms of, because he can do it he's doing it for Randy. He's by himself right now, and he might. I mean, Riddle or might be out for the rest of the year. Give him the Money in the Bank. Have him build himself up to become a world champion eventually. He can cash in on SummerSlam. They've been talking about it a lot, and they really haven't. They really haven't talked about how Miss Money in the Bank is going to work. I can see like Paul Heyman saying, "Oh, they can only take one of the championships from Roman if they cash in." You know, they haven't really talked about it just yet, so who knows how it's going to work. I'm just very intrigued. I think from, if you want to go to the honorable route, Drew comes out and says, "Hey, I want you at Clash of the Castle," because that's how Drew McIntyre is. He wants to face him in the UK show, right? Or you have someone who like Seth Rollins who could do the heist of the century over again. I see both sides for what's going to happen. I really don't know. That's Money in the Bank. I'm very looking forward to it this weekend. Both Money in the Bank matches look really good. The women's match looks really stacked. I'm really looking forward to the women's match more than the men's right now. Actually, that's a lie. I'm looking forward to them both equally. The men will they will main event. The women will start the show, men will main event. It's been like that every year. But I'm really, really looking forward to Money in the Bank this weekend, and this kicks off the build up to SummerSlam, SummerSlam is the same month now. July 2nd, July 30th, they're in the same month. Nothing in August because they got the Clash of the Castle for Labor Day weekend. But man, let's see what happens. This is now the road to SummerSlam. What's going to happen up again? Heist of the Century 2. Do you build up a Riddle redemption story, or is McIntyre going the honorable route for Clash of the Castle? Those are the three storylines. I don't think Sammy, Omos, or Sheamus have a win in this match. And whoever the seventh person is, I don't know. If it's Kevin Owens, I'm a Kevin Owens fan. I think he should probably get a shot. He main event at WrestleMania, WrestleMania Night 1, but I don't know. And I think that's what it is. This year is anybody's game, anybody's match. So I guess we will see who is going to be Mr. and Mrs. Money in the Bank come Saturday. That's it for me on this episode of the podcast. I want to talk about the thing, but I'm running out of time. Maybe we'll talk about it next time. Maybe we'll talk about horror movies, because horror movies I've seen a lot of trailers for horror movies and things coming out. So maybe we'll talk about that in the next episode. But if you're listening to the podcast, thank you for listening. We're on all podcast channels. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Deezer, Overcast. Anywhere you get your podcast, it is the FatmanStephens, all one word. Next word, podcast. Also on YouTube, watching the video. Hello, sorry for the wrinkled shirt. We are on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe, and continue to watch out for more episodes coming and more tier lists to come for the FatmanStephens podcast. I have been Marcus FatmanStephens, and we'll see you again next week for another episode. Goodbye.